after we talked about the first one, yes, we're talking about the second film. Terrifier 2 is on the chopping block today. Again, Damien Leone is back with Art the Clown, and this film takes place right after the events of the first one. And then it jumps ahead a year. We get a time jump, and we follow this family who are trying to keep it together. The father in the family recently died. The mom's struggling to keep her two kids, in line. Her teenage daughter, is a bit rebellious, and her son seems to be obsessed with serial killers, including one from a massacre a year ago. Yes, Art the Clown. Well, guess who shows up? Ye thought he was dead. He's not dead. He is still out there, and he's out to terrorize this family for some reason. And we see how he goes on a bloody rampage through their suburban town as the daughter starts to find out more about her father and realizes there may be a connection, more so than they expected, with someone very disturbing. Uh, Wow, I will say this runtime surprised me for a slasher film. It gets a bit long. It could have used some trimming, but overall I did enjoy it, and it still moves. So they do accomplish that there, but I do wish there was a bit trimming, and I'll get into that in a minute. Now, Art the Clown is back. It's played by Dave Howard Thornton again, and he is really getting into it and enjoyed again his return to this character. You could tell he's really, comfortable with the Art character, and he does a lot with him. He's more of a boogeyman in this one. He doesn't get quite as much screen time as he does in the first one, and I appreciate that. I like that. I like that we get him in doses because we stick with Sienna and her brother. Sienna's played by Lauren Lavera. Loved her performance in here. The final girl vibe you get from her. She's got kind of a Laurie Strode feel to her, and I really enjoyed that. This thing borrows definitely a bit from Halloween with not only its concept, but some of the way it directs that. And it's not just because it's during Halloween and there's trick-or-treat scenes that, there are the extreme gore scenes like you saw in the first one, the extreme gore kills in here. Again, they're so over the top that they aren't as much mentally disturbing as they are just fun to watch for a horror fan. Again, more art, and no pun intended, in the craftsmanship of these gory scenes, which were done really well. There's some surprising stuff they do in here, and they make it look really good. And the craftsmanship in it was great, and I appreciated it for that. And the story here, this has a bit more meat to the story, not just because of the runtime, but the way it plays out, and I like that better. I like we stuck with these characters better, though there are some dangling questions out there that I guess they're going to plan on a third one. And so in that case, once I learned that for sure, then it definitely has a bit of a middle film feel to it, especially in the story of Art the Clown, who we do get to learn a little bit more of. Now, there's an addition to the disturbing Art the Clown. There is the little pale girl who is fantastic. Amelia McLean plays her, and wow, I was scared of her more than Art, in all honesty. She was definitely terrifying, and I really wanted to see more of her, and hopefully maybe she'd get a spin-off movie because she was fantastic in here, the way she acted and portrayed, and she was silent as well, which, again, the silent killer is creepy, and so that is also effective. This, though, it does just get a little long. I think there are some, while the kill scenes were effective and made to shock you, which they will for some, especially a particular trick-or-treat bowl that Art chooses to make, for me, it could have been trimmed down. They could have cut out some of these kills that really didn't add too much to it outside of the gore effect. Trim it down. The story at the end has a bit of a Stranger Things type vibe to it in a good way. Don't get me wrong, I loved it. And there's a wonderful, disturbing child's scene in here, which does come back around later, which I thought they were on it for a little long, but it does come back around. But still there are a few scenes, there are a few kills and such that could just be either trimmed up or cut down or removed to help reduce the runtime, maybe make it a little more palatable for most people out there. But overall, Terrifier 2 is another solid film like Terrifier 1. Not floored by it, not like, oh my God, didn't get sick to my stomach, which, gotta love marketing when they tell you about that. But it is effective, and I think it was just as good, if not a little, it was a little better than the first one. I enjoyed it, but both are solid entries into the slasher genre. So there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. Please check out our Patreon. We got a lot of great tiers there. Our podcast, The Spoiler Room, is now on Anchor FM and all major podcast feeds. Had to do some rearranging. It's like, subscribe, and all that here. I thank you for your support. And until next time, remember, as always, keep that ticket stub.